What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, a proud partner of the Blue Wire family and the Eurostep Podcast Network. As always, I am your host, Numac, and joining me on a wonderful, wonderful spring day is my lovely co-host, Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Taking in the spring weather. Sun, the air, the flowers bloom. The NFL schedule is finally upon us.
April showers bring May flowers. The April showers of the Aaron Rodgers deal finally going through, and then
Mm,
now we get our first real media day from Jordan Love this week. I think we're sitting pretty as some Packer fans. I think we're sitting pretty pretty.
love is in the air.
The Tweety birds are out screaming all of their sexual innuendos from the trees. It's going just great. But yeah, we got the first taste of media days from the captains, well, presumed to be captains, this year in Aaron Jones, Jordan Love, and Kenny Clark. It was really obviously the two returning captains, and Aaron Jones and Kenny Clark. Jordan Love, for all intents and purposes, probably will be a captain.
Better be.
I think he kind of has to be, given like only captains I think can call timeouts.
Yeah.
So
Is that true?
I think it's like half the reason the captain thing exists.
Mm.
I might be talking out of my butt, but like I've never seen
It
a
probably was
lineman.
true once upon a time.
Yeah, I've never seen like a lineman or a wide receiver call timeout, or like a third string wide receiver call timeout. So, with all that being said, yeah, Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, and Kenny Clark spoke to the media this week, in what was, as far as I saw on Twitter and just the general consensus, a very welcomed press conference from Jordan Love. Obviously, he was sort of the main focus, being the new franchise quarterback. I guess I'll start with you, Jordan. What did you think of Jordan Love's comments to the media and just sort of his overall demeanor through that press conference?
Sorry. I just had to look up
You had to fact check
who.
me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dubai, but you're
I'm
you're
wrong.
wrong. You're
That'll happen.
wrong. As you can see, the NFL rules state that the head coach or any player can call timeout, but it does not include assistant coaches.
Hmm. Interesting.
This is a courtesy of Four Verts Football.
Thanks, Forverts. Appreciate you for
Or
proving me
thanks,
wrong.
Four Verts. Maybe I'm wrong too. So that's what happens on the internet these days. Anyway, talking about Jordan Love, refreshing. Got to hear Jordan Love talk. Um, Again, we haven't really heard much from him directly outside of maybe the Chiefs game, running up into that, and then after,
Hmm.
probably a little bit of the Eagles game. Even yeah, like that. Like they have exit interviews, but like he wouldn't necessarily be Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Jones or whatever. So yeah, it's been too far and few between. And now that you know dust is settled, he is the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, which I know he talks about, not to get ahead of himself, as one of his answers. But I, like Jordan Love, had been operating this entire offseason as he's starting for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
So it is nice to hear a different voice and just seeing his perspective on things, because he's had a lot of stuff happen without his control over the last 3 years, and now the baton has been handed to him. So interesting to see how he responds to everything.
Yeah. I thought, going off like what you said about his answer being that he came into the offseason assuming he was going to be the starter. He, I don't know if luckily or rightfully or whatever adjective you want to use or adverb you want to use, caught himself and said that he enters every offseason think he's going to be the starter. Like that's just part of his training process. But I think if you're a fan or a podcast host reading
Come
between the
on.
lines, that like I think this year he might have had a
Extra
more,
motivation.
yeah, extra motivation and like more certainty that this was actually going to be the year he'd go into 2023 or he'd go into the NFL season the starting quarterback of the team he played for. Interestingly enough, he talked about how the hardest time in his career was last year when Rodgers signed that extension, and that he's like, okay, well, what do I do now? Like he understood the situation he was coming into. He said when he got drafted, and that in his rookie year, he watched Rodgers win an MVP. Then in his sophomore year, he watched Rodgers win an MVP, and it's kind of tenuous. And then watches the guy ahead of him sign a mega deal extension. And he said, "quote I'll admit it. I think the hardest time for me was when he re-signed the contract last year. It was kind of like, okay, well, where do we go from here? What do I do?" And I think I sat back, thought to myself, and just came back with the approach like, let's go ball out at any opportunity I get. So I'm just glad to hear him say that he had that sort of mindset and just understood that the chips will fall where they may, and he'll take his career as it comes to him. And it's come to him. He's now the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, that is very interesting and kind of informs a lot of the comments that Brian Gutekunst, Matt LaFleur. I mean, I know we'll get into Aaron Jones and Kenny Clark's comments, but like the reason we talked so much about Aaron Rodgers and the fact that Jordan, the pick of Jordan Love alone, not just his presence, but the pick of it lit a fire under Aaron Rodgers' ass. Same is true of Aaron Rodgers signing a mega extension with the Packers, even though that didn't really secure him longer than a year. But it does it at the time it did ask questions of like, okay, what is the long term plan here? Because you'd still have him waiting on the in the wings.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately kind of planned out. Maybe we got to the end point, but it took a lot of turns and forks in the road to get to this point. But that was one of the few answers that, or few, but several answers, I should say, that was interesting to hear his perspective of like, what's that like to be? Yeah, I think the reins are gonna be handed to me, and then nope. So it just you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, I think he definitely handled it the best he could, like we talked about in the last episode. Wasn't really in the media a lot complaining or demanding trades because he, after Rodgers' deal or anything like that, he kind of just handled like a pro and waited for his opportunity to come to him. And like I said, it came to him. So um, you read Matt Schneidman's article on the comments, and I watched the press conference, and I think like one of the most encouraging things for me was that he just sounded like a leader. Like he came in and wasn't like a shy sort of walking on eggshells quarterback of, yeah, we'll see how it goes, and I'm just going to compete and et cetera, et cetera. Like he said all the regular quarterback stuff, like get better every day, uh, the old Bud adage, and well, he did, he replicated. He goes, it's got to go to
Yeah,
practice and work on it, and just be the best starter he can be. But he was really confident in a lot of his sentences. Like he was talking about how I think I forget, I don't know who asked, but one of the beat reporters asked about Coach LaFleur telling him just to let it rip, like let it go down the
yep,
field. And he Jordan Love was honest in his answer in that his first 2 years, 3 years in the league, uh, he just or yeah no three three
yep,
he was hesitant in letting it rip. He was thinking too much about his play, thinking too much about like the outcomes of if he like threw it down the field. It wasn't just playing football. But now he's learned and sort of practicing and getting those reps in that he just is playing football. He's just a quarterback. He's just playing football. And it's easier to let those decisions come naturally to you the further you get in your career. And he thinks he was confident enough to be letting it rip at this point in his career, which is good because you're going to need to with Christian Watson and Jaden Reed flying on the field.
yeah. That's the thing about for me now that it's finally happening and stuff like that. It's not necessarily about there's no one size fits all in terms of like developing and grooming a quarterback that you think is going to be the quarterback of the future because for every player like we have Jordan Love's story right now or Aaron Rodgers too, but like Joe Burrow I know is the first overall pick and it's a little bit different, but it's like he comes out and he literally lets it rip and is like this like top 10 starter and possibly like for sure fire MVP candidate the rest of his career until otherwise. Patrick Mahomes takes a year to really, take his time. They didn't institute him as a starter, and then when he got the opportunity, it's like bang, let's go. I think for me, with Jordan Love, we knew all the raw talent, the tools, and all that stuff, and we knew that it would take a while to kind of mold those things all together. That's still true of him actually seeing the field and seeing game reps because it just can plan all you want for during practice and everything like that, or like workouts in California, whatever it is. It's far a different beast when it's actually on the field and it's like, okay, this is where we are at, and you're faced with every game situation that you thought you would be at when you got drafted. And for me, seeing that confidence that he's showing from the get go, and his teammates are clearly looking at him as the guy that we can turn to and be like, okay, we feel like we're in safe hands.
Hmm.
Because that's ultimately like that's if you have that, that can take you a lot of places, and that's clearly something that the Packers saw with Aaron Rodgers, and it maybe they didn't see that fully with Jordan Love right away, but I think it's there now, and I think that kind of invigorates me in terms of just being a Packers fan of like now that everything's changed over, you know that he feels like he's super ready both on the preparation of it but and the mental side of like actually being a pro and the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
Right, absolutely. He talked about that too. He was saying how someone asked like how much the Chiefs start and the reps at the Eagles really sort of helped him, and he said, but it was helpful for as much as it can be for a game, and he's had practice reps that he just kept working on to try and improve his game and figure out the timing with guys, but ultimately that the real progress comes with in game reps. So he knows that he needs to get some of those matchups under his belt to really start making improvements and developing as a quarterback, but he's also just working on it, and they working on it with Aaron Jones and Romeo Dobbs. He touched on that too. As someone asked, like, how did that come to be? And he said that obviously Jordan Love talking. He and Romeo Dobbs are in California in the offseason anyway, so they've worked out together in the past. And then Aaron Jones goes out there a couple times a year, and so when Aaron Jones was out there, he hit up Jordan Love was like, "Hey, let's get this working," and so they went
Yeah.
and started practicing. So that's good, and I guess we'll transition to Aaron Jones's comments a little bit later, but just really nice from Aaron Jones to be that veteran leader for the new quarterback.
Yep. Absolutely.
Couple more things just on Jordan Love's comments. I thought he oozed confidence in the press conference. Like he was just up there, like he was the guy, he was the man, and it felt like really good to see just sort of that confidence pop and see that not rookie, but new quarterback who we haven't really heard much from over the past 3 years come out of his shell and kind of speak it with his chest. I think it was really cool. I think he's going to be comfortable speaking to the media at least through training camp, at least through the off season. So
Yeah. Absolutely. And plus too, like and kind of closing my point too. He hasn't been a starting quarterback since being at Utah State.
hmm
That's like before COVID.
yeah,
That's a long
it's a
time.
long time
And a
ago,
lot of things have happened.
and you wouldn't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you wouldn't expect it from like the way he carried himself in the press conference and the way he talked about like leadership style. He talked about like I think this was a glaring. It wasn't a shot, but I think like a lot of Packers Twitter and a lot of fans kind of like recognized the starkness in this comment. But he's like, someone asked about his leadership style, about Jordan Love's leadership style, and he answered that he likes to bring guys along and give everyone else confidence in themselves, and that let the receivers and the other guys know that Jordan Love trusts them, and that
Yeah.
he never wanted to be negative because he knows that they all have the same goal on the team. Like they're all trying to achieve the same thing and start winning, and he's pretty much said it didn't pay to be mean to people. And so, obviously, not ignoring the past 10 years of Aaron Rodgers led Packers teams, I think, much to his benefits sometimes in his relationship with his receivers, Rodgers would have a flair for the dramatic and yell at guys because he expected more out of them. And then that obviously got memed and made fun of on Twitter all the time because he'd have some hilarious reaction of him screaming the F bomb or saying WTF to the or to the sideline. And so I think at least for these first couple of years, obviously, right, you're gonna see a much calmer presence under center from Jordan Love than we did from Aaron Rodgers the last 5-10 years, which isn't a bad thing because ultimately they're two different dudes, two different style quarterbacks, two different personalities. I think it'll just be a refreshing way to look at the quarterback position. Like I know, looking forward to the season, I'm gonna be very excited to not have every off play like camera shot just be staring at
Yeah,
Rodgers waiting for a reaction because that was a lot of what Packers games devolved into these past 2 years was just waiting for Rodgers to get a reaction and then post it on Twitter.
yeah. To that point too, I'm lifting this from Packers Wire, Zach Cruz. The receiver room is made up of 9 players who were either drafted or signed as undrafted rookies in the 2021 or 2022 off seasons, and a tight end group with 2 rookies, and where Josiah DeGuara and his 600 plus snaps are the most experienced on the team. The fact that they have collectively assembled that together, I don't think is obviously not an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and from that perspective, coming off your point, that is going to be very refreshing because it
Yeah.
was so much of last year, especially at the start of it was training camp preseason, start of the season. It was always about like how can these young wide receivers come around Aaron and what can he do to help them? And it was tension filled throughout the first couple months of the season. They found some bruise during the year, but like
Right.
last year was an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It made.
so
I think we talked about this all season long last year, but the offense just became um, predictable and repetitive. Like it was, you
yeah,
kind of knew what you're going with because you had veterans who this were kind of told to fall in line essentially, and that's not a bad thing. Like I feel like I have to keep saying it's not a bad thing. So I don't want to feel like I'm ragging on Rodgers, right, or ragging on the offense led by him, because
yeah,
ultimately he's a Hall of Fame quarterback and he's doing well. But it's just going to be so different this year, and Zach Cruz had a great point um, during the press conference. Jordan Love talked about how it's all these young guys, right? You just mentioned all the young guys that they have this whole new young wide receiver group, new tight end group. The Jordan Love said we're going to grow together. Like this is going to be the entire offensive specialists all developing at the same time, and I
yeah,
think that has a chance to be something really special. And this is like super pie in the sky, like super duper duper. I recognize that it has the opportunity to kind of feel like the 2011 Packers, to where Rodgers, Jennings, Nelson, Finley, all of them were hitting their strides and hitting their primes at the exact same time.
yeah,
Like this has this core, we'll call it, has the opportunity to do that if Christian Watson keeps developing like he did last year. If Romeo Dobbs takes a leap off of his injury plague season last year. If Jaden Reed pops, like if the two new tight ends pop, like this could be a really talented offense in a very short time.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It has me excited for what's to come. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But they have between the makeup of that part of the roster, but then having Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This offense could be both um, a work in progress sometimes, but you could see like the collective potential that they have if everything breaks a little bit better than what it was last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, do you want to transition to Aaron Jones' comments? Just the sort
Yes.
of broad stroke of them. Um, I freaking love Aaron Jones, dude. Like, he's just he's such a company guy is like the way I'm gonna say it. Like he's an all pro veteran and just seemingly one of the better dudes in football. He's throughout his press conference, he talked about like being the guy for Jordan Love and being a running back who can help point out like safety rotations and help point out different coverages that he might not see while under center. And he like since obviously Aaron Jones would be behind him most times and give him those pointers. Like it's just so it's like a big breath of fresh air to see just the exuding positivity Aaron Jones has had for Jordan Love. Like and Aaron Jones gave Aaron Rodgers his flowers too. He talked about well, I guess we'll talk about it in a minute. I'll let that settle for a second. But just the general attitude that Aaron Jones has come into this season with, first taking the pay cut, like he didn't have to do that, and then working out with Jordan Love out in California, reaching out to Jordan Love to do it, to build those that chemistry and build those reps, and then just saying what he said in his press conference and just being that total pro, just awesome. Like I want Aaron Jones to retire as a Packer. Like I will be upset if he ever leaves ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it was even when the rumors that he was being like the Dolphins were like they were like the big team that had cap space that was like, oh, we're gonna bet on the future kind of thing. When Aaron Jones is a free agent or gonna be a free agent last year or year before? Can't remember. Doesn't matter because he is the consummate guy that you want in the locker room. And especially during this time of like there is a power and leadership vacuum without Aaron Rodgers, and we can quibble about how much of a leader Aaron Rodgers was, but ultimately that is when you're the quarterback for the Packers for as long as Aaron Rodgers was, he's looked at as number one.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Love will be looked at the same, but it's different circumstances.
Right.
And I don't know, Aaron Jones, he doesn't just say all the right things, but he does the right things too. Like he's just to your point of like he is just like the ultimate like best guy in the NFL.
Right.
Presume it really does seem that way and feel that way.
Aaron Jones was asked about during the Philly game last year about a bomb that he had dropped from Jordan Love. And he talks about how he like thinks about that like all the time. He's like, I should have had that one. I should have caught it for Jordan. But he talked about how in like lieu of those snaps that Jordan Love had to take when Rodgers was down a couple plays with his thumb or this, that, and the other. I'm gonna read off Aaron Jones' quote from Matt Sheeman in the Athletic article. He says, "We see his work daily. Some balls, some dimes. Everybody's back there oohing and eyeing." And then he goes on to say, Jordan Love believes in himself, first off. That's number one. You've got to believe in yourself or nobody else is going to believe in you. So he believes in himself. He cares about everybody around him. And we've seen him just come in and consistently just work, work, work. As an athlete, you want to come in and play right away, and that wasn't Jordan's case. He didn't have that opportunity, and he did it the right way. He waited his time, and you never heard one peep or complaint out of him. He has everybody's respect, and he works. Last little bit here. We all love Jordan here, and like I said, he has everyone's full respect, and we're all going to lay it out on the line for him. All the guys buy into him. He's lovable. He's funny. He's caring. He has everything that you look for in a quarterback to command a room. Like, that's some glowing words.
Yeah.
From your starting franchise running back. Like, and I think it says a lot that Jordan Love has the offense's attention in the huddle, like, without even taking a training camp snap yet, as quarterback one.
Yeah. That's very big.
Gets
very
me
big.
Real excited.
Oh yeah.
Real excited. Yeah, and then I guess we'll touch on Aaron Jones' comments about Rodgers too. I thought it was pretty cool that Jones talked about how he'll always like love Aaron Rodgers. He always like think of him as a friend because of how he treated him when he was like a rookie coming in. And that in the huddle he'd tell Aaron Jones like, I'm like your biggest fan in the franchise. Like you're the guy. Like I want you out here. And he'd be yelling to the sideline that he wanted 33 Aaron Jones out there on plays. Like he talked about how like that gave him confidence and to really pursue and be the best running back he can be. Like I think that's a lot of where Rodgers' leadership was good in points is like he had an eye for talent.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't always good, but most of the time it was good. I'm talking about like Jake Kumaro or Jeff Janis. Like those times it's a little shifted where the relationship off the field is better and than it was ability on the field. But he did have an eye for hard-working guys that were able to contribute right away.
Yeah, I think that's what it is like how can they help me?
Mm-hmm.
How can you leverage those things because hard work someone that works as hard as Aaron Rodgers and yeah, he doesn't show up for OTs and stuff like that, but you can't knock his preparation or anything like that he's been able to sustain such a long career. And yeah, I think it is interesting. That's the thing about like, yeah, it's one thing to talk about the understory quarterback that the Packers select in the first round of a 2020 NFL draft and presumably next savior franchise and all that stuff. But I don't know. I think we'll probably think about him. I don't think actually. I want to take back what I was about to say. I don't think Aaron Rodgers at any point didn't feel negative about Jordan Love the person. He may have felt negative about what it meant for him
Yeah.
because he went through it. Not to relitigate this whole thing over and over again, but yeah, like it's one thing to do all those things, but then when it comes to young guys trying to make a name for themselves or even just latching on to a team and making the NFL, like Packers pride themselves on trying to find diamonds in the rough, whether it's late in the draft or not. They're not drafted at all, and having that from your star quarterback that can see that those things and talk up those players that may just need more opportunities for stuff like that is huge. And I don't think the Packers go as long as they have with those success stories without someone like Aaron Rodgers, obviously as good as he is to elevate them, but it works both ways.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
think we heard as much from Aaron Rodgers just sort of in his talks, like with on the Pat McAfee show and in comments throughout this offseason, is that he always talked good about Jordan Love. He was never like, man, screw that guy. He's always talking about just like the worker that Jordan Love is and that it just is the circumstances it was. Like, I think that was just one of the better parts that was refreshing from the Favre to Rodgers transition was that Favre told him to kick rocks. Like, this is my job. This is my town. Like, I don't care if you're here or not. Like, I'm the quarterback. It was never really that for the Aaron Rodgers Jordan Love relationship. So, anything else in the press conferences?
Actually, one more thing
Okay.
is more general.
All right.
I saw some Packers conversation on social media early in the week about retool, rebuild. What is this roster? What is this season? And we'll get into the schedule shortly. But I thought Aaron Jones's comments on I have to pull up the article again. The this season and the expectations that are facing the Packers right now, I thought were interesting because it very much reflects how I view this Packers season because, it's lower expectations than we felt for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to Aaron Jones, this is a quote about doubters, lower expectations, everything like this. When you prove people wrong, it's one of the best feelings in the world, Jones said. I think that's what we're going to do this year, prove a lot of people wrong.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I think I said it last. I think I said it last pod, but I think this team bottoms out as like a 6-11 team. Like I think they're going to be not horrendous, but I don't think they're going to be great either. Like they're not going to be division winning unless the Vikings somehow stumble. But um, yeah, I think they'll be an average team this year, which is good. Like I think there's gonna be a lot of ups and downs, a lot of time for learning opportunities for everybody. But yeah, ultimately, I think there isn't going to be the fall off that people think there's going to be with Jordan Love at quarterback. I think it's going to be just an average year for him. And here's to hoping that they win the close games. And you'll see the schedule in a minute, Jordan, but it's on the easier side, I think. So they have opportunities to win and put themselves in a good spot for next year and the years going forward.
Yeah.
With that being said, should we hop right into the schedule?
Let's do it.
All right. If you're watching on the YouTube, a little fancy transition. Ka-chow. First one ever on the pod, like on the pod for those. So witness history. All right, Jordan. So here's all this is
Let's
for.
let's make it clear. Let's make it clear to the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah. Why don't you explain what we planned here?
So the Packers' schedule is out. You've probably seen it as you're listening to this. You're probably wondering why haven't I seen it? Well, I'm busy, and I said to Numac, why don't I go out of my way to not look at the schedule so we could do this as part of content? Because I'm a contentsman.
Content machine. Your content pill.
Con- I'm content filled
Pilled,
and pilled.
not pilled.
What is pilled?
It's a play on the joke of like the red, blue, or the red or blue pill from the
Oh,
Matrix. You like there's the content pill. You chose the content pill.
I chose the content pill, which are both. Yeah, so I am reacting to you're gonna see my base peer reactions of these games.
Perfect. Alrighty, we'll hop right into it. First up, week 1, the Chicago Bears
Of
in
course,
in
yeah.
Chicago. So Jordan Love opens his career at Soldier Field against Justin Fields.
That's a win. We're winning. We're winning.
We got
Move to Arlington Heights if you want Chicago. I don't care. We're taking home a dub.
I think I forget who I saw say it on
I
Twitter,
don't know.
but this is a really, really cool way to start the Jordan Love era in what could be a really cool football quarterback rivalry for the next
I
10 years.
I will contend. I think I've said this on the pod before, but if I have not, I will say it now. We've talked plenty. There's plenty of chatter about the rivalry between the Packers and Bears. I've never viewed it that way ever in my life.
Well, it's
Because
been one-sided in our
exactly,
life.
exactly. So to have the teams kind of be on the same level field
Yeah,
is kind of exciting.
yeah. It's going to be cool.
Just too bad that the Bears are going to lose that week.
That's right. All right. Week 2. Away again against the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Ritter and company. Desmond Ritter kind of
Hmm.
caught himself in some Twitter drama this week, liking
Is that
certain
true?
just some liking some certain tweets we won't get to here.
Okay.
It's
Well,
this, let's just say the red and black fit him well. He wouldn't want to play for like the Giants per se, or possibly the Cowboys. He'd really hate playing for either of those teams. But yeah, um, who did they just get? Who did they just drafted somebody? Oh, they drafted Bijan Robinson. So
yes.
that'll be a big test for the Packers' run
I think
defense.
this is the week that we'll probably start saying Joe Barry should have been fired because they're probably going to let up like 210 yards to Bijan Robinson or
And
something like that.
Justin Fields, like back to
And
back
Justin
weeks,
Fields,
like
yeah, that
hopefully they just fire him before they come home. Like
this
it's just in
this
Atlanta.
yeah this defense might get diced and sliced.
Sliced
I'm
and
going to
diced.
say tentative loss.
You think so?
Falcons are might be a little what's the word? Frisky. Maybe a little
Frisky.
frisky
Some
Falcons.
frisky Falcons.
I see him at the zoo.
Alrighty. Moving on. Home opener against the New
Saints.
Orleans Saints. Ty Windish's New Orleans Saints.
That is true. Back to back NFC South
Yep.
games.
Facing up against Derek Carr and company.
I totally forgot that he's on that team because
Yep.
that happened like 5 months
We
ago.
get to see good friend Jamal Williams again.
Yes, that is right.
Always good to
God, he's
have
gonna
him in
run
town.
wild on Joe Barry's freaking
No, he'll
defense.
run wild from
God.
the one.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's gonna be the longest yard that you've ever seen. Longer
Adam
than
Sandler
those movies and Burt Reynolds twice.
twice. And
Um,
Chris Rock for some reason.
that's yeah. Because when I think of football, I think of Chris Rock.
That's right.
Um, tentative win.
See, like this is where I'm not saying you're wrong, but this is where I caught myself looking through the schedule. I'm like, I just don't see all these teams being that much better than us. So like I think the variance of where they could go
Is
is like
Dennis Allen still the coach of the Saints? I believe he is,
I
right?
think so. Dennis Allen. Yes, he is.
Okay.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Yes. Um, oops, where am I going? I need to go here. There we go. Next up. So you have them at 2-1,
Tentatively. Yeah.
tentatively. Next up, home game against the Detroit Lions.
Ooh, Thursday night. Do not like that.
Thursday
Do
night
not
at
like that.
home.
Lions are the wild card for me. Especially well, this I will say this is during the those sneaky gamblers. They're suspended right now.
Yeah. So this is during that time
No,
when Jameson
no,
Williams is out.
no. Jameson Williams and there's some other one that
There's
that
Quintez Cephas is out for the year, but I think they cut him.
but they. I thought there was someone else that got 6 games.
Vamp a little bit. I'll look.
It's fine.
Detroit
It's probably not
Lions.
even worth the search.
I really
But
don't think it's a player that like matters.
yeah,
C,
Thursday night.
CJ Moore is the safety for the
Oh,
Lions.
I don't know. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, I'm kind of scared of the Lions, even with Jameson Williams not playing that game.
Yeah. I think like they're the same lines as they were last year. They're gonna punch you in the teeth and whatever Dan Campbell said about biting body parts off.
Biting your neck off, throwing coffee grounds in your face,
Yeah, all
that
that
kind
good
of thing.
stuff. So
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say loss.
yeah, I think like again, this is where they're all toss-up games. Like I think you're going to see a lot of games where the Packers have an opportunity to win and maybe just don't because of the inexperience on offense.
Mhm.
Besides the running backs, like all the pass catchers essentially. Okay, next up, I hope you're excited for because I know I am. Devontae Adams game in
Oh,
Vegas against
in Vegas. That
Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams.
I forgot. So that's what
It's a Monday night game.
third 11-day layoff.
Yep, something like that. I think that's right.
This is the type. I'm just throwing this out here.
Okay.
The Raiders are off to a poor start,
If
and
they are.
if they are,
Okay.
and so say if they're 1-4 going or 1-3 going into this game, and the Packers just wipe the floor with them, that might be Josh McDaniels getting fired territory, because
It could be.
teams
It
they
could be.
always respond to being on like the marquee game,
Yeah.
and if you are starting terribly, you might get fired. Just throw it out there.
He could be. He certainly could be.
Certainly could be.
The Las Vegas Raiders, home of new tight end Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. So
Yes,
replace Darren Waller, who they traded to the Giants, and
and
Foster Moreau.
Foster Moreau.
Yep, who just recently signed with the Saints. So we'll see
Yep.
him in week 3. So
Mm.
did you say win or loss or did
I'm gonna go win.
okay? So 3-2 currently.
Yeah,
All right. Going down real fast. Bye week
I
6.
think they're gonna win. I think they're gonna win.
What do you think about the timing of the bye week?
It's wonderful for me personally. They're
We know
getting married
that.
that weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. Um, we haven't had an early bye week in a long time. Certainly not the last few years. They're both late. Does that benefit a team that is younger? Don't know. You're certainly gonna have some injuries. Knock on wood that it's not anybody significant, or that's not anybody at all. I should have just said it like that and be done with it. I don't know. That'll be interesting.
I think
There's just no middle bye week. There's no like week
the
9 bye
Packers
week.
never get a week 9 bye week. It's always week 4 or 5, or it's always week 13, 14. Like it's just how it is. I think the week 6 bye week is a great time for this offense to have the bye week. Like, say things are going bad. Like, they need to figure out what's not working. You have 5 weeks to figure out if things are going wrong, and then a week to finish out the season strong and figure out what was going wrong. Like, I think that's the biggest thing for me is that unlike last year where their bye week was like week 12, they don't have to go 3 months without having a week off. They
Yeah.
just have to make it to the middle of October, and then they can assess their season from there and implement changes to try and get the offense back on track if it's off track.
Yeah. That, and I mean, we saw last year was the perfect example.
Yep.
It was took
They
way
went.
too long.
Yep. After their bye
And
week, they were really good.
yeah, only London didn't get in the way.
Yeah. Okay. Next up,
Oh, there he is. Sean Payton
and Russell Wilson,
and
week
Russell
7
Wilson.
at the Denver Broncos. Prime time, or should I say prime time? I suppose we probably should be saying the times of these.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
backtrack just to make sure everyone's aware. If you've probably already seen it anyways. 3:30 against the Bears, week 1, noon, weeks 2 and 3 against the Falcons and Saints. 7:15 on Thursday against the Lions, 7:15 against the Raiders on Monday, and 3:30 on Sunday in week 7. So we're caught up now. So, Russell Wilson hoping to bounce back after a horrendous last season where he just barely threw more touchdowns than he had bathrooms in his house, and um, just trying to get that franchise back on track after that huge trade that has so far blown up in their face.
That'll be interesting.
I
I
think
don't know what I
I think that's a
feel about the
loss.
Broncos.
I think that's a loss. Their defense is still very good.
It is. It is. They had a lot of one-score losses too, so that certainly played in the factor of. I mean, I know Nathaniel Hackett was a very good offensive coordinator for the Packers. He was not a good head coach for the Broncos and had a number of late game management gaffes
Yeah,
galore, and he got fired before the season even ended.
that was a lot of G alliteration.
Gotcha.
Late game
That's another
glass
G.
galore that got him fired.
That they don't call me Triple G for nothing,
Moving
like that
on.
boxer.
Moving on. Did you say win or loss? Go ahead.
Literate and literate. I'll go loss too. I
Okay.
think it's a loss.
Week 8, we see the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, there they are.
Noon at home.
I really have no idea about this Vikings team.
I think they lose. Frankly, like the Vikings are bringing back Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins and possibly Dalvin Cook. There's been trade rumors, but
Do you? This might be a better question. This is going to evolve too. But right now, do you consider the Vikings to be the favorite to win the NFC North?
the NFC North.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's enough confidence in the Lions to not Lions it up and get through this, like the first part of that stretch without Jameson Williams or anything. Like, I think there's opportunity.
I would argue, though,
Okay,
the Lions did that all of last year.
correct. Yep, because he was gone most of the season last year. Um, I think it's just the Vikings to lose. I don't think you put the Lions as the favorite, knowing that they missed the playoffs and haven't really proved that they can win a division in however long, right? Like, for my money's worth, I'm putting down the Vikings and just letting them. I'll lose money if that happens. Like, that's fine, but I'm confident enough that it's still the Vikings' division to lose. Essentially, they have the best player in the division without a doubt. And that goes a long way, especially when you're dealing with 3 other defenses that aren't the greatest. Like, Lions defense, not good. Bears defense, not good. And Packers defense, moderate to okay, as we saw week 1 versus week
Yeah.
15. Like, I just think that they have a easier path to win than they do than the Packers, than like the Lions do, for example.
Solid points. I agree. I think the Vikings are viewed as the favorites.
Yep.
I'm not bought it. Anyway,
If you told me like you're like, hi, Al or Numac, I am Jordan from January 8th, 2024, and the Lions won the division, I'd be like, that tracks.
okay,
Like, I'd be like that.
okay.
Like, I could see that. Like, I wouldn't be like, what?
And
No,
I'm also saying this. It's not an overwhelming
no,
margin. It's
no.
it's the difference of 2 games, maybe.
Yeah, maybe it could come down to like the last game, honestly, because the
Yeah.
Vikings and Lions play each other uh, week 18. That's a spoiler for this, by the way.
Oh
Sorry.
God.
Um.
Um,
So yeah,
I'm calling a win here, though.
against the Vikings.
Yes, home at
Wow.
Vikings.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Week 9. The LA Rams at home. LA Rams coming off an injury plagued season.
And they've
Noon, I should say, on Sunday. They get back Aaron Donald, Matt Stafford, Cooper Cup. So they should be better, but they'll still be average-ish
they've
probably.
they've stripped down a lot of their.
Mm-hmm.
No Jalen Ramsey, no Allen Robinson. Not that he was a big factor anyway. There was another big trade or departure.
I forget.
Baker Mayfield technically applies, but it wasn't like he was going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, win.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Win. So we should recap. We are halfway through the schedule. You have the Packers at 1-1, 3-2 through the bye, and then so 4-3 through 7 games, right?
I think 5-3.
5-3, yeah. Okay, Jordan.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
I listen, man. I already said it. There's gonna be there 1 or 2 plays in these games that are going to decide if they have a winning season or a losing season, and I think
Yep.
that's just part of having a new starting quarterback. Frankly,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Week 10.
How that happened with an experienced quarterback.
Yep. Week 10. Let's like have the schedule with the Pittsburgh Steelers
The
in
Steelers
Pittsburgh
in
at noon.
Pittsburgh. Ooh,
Trying to see if they have a real quarterback in Kenny Pickett.
that's right. Joey Porter, they drafted his son
Joey Porter Jr.
as Joey Porter Jr. Like Tomlin's still the head coach, and that is literally all I know about the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They have T.J. Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick
Well, that's you,
on defense.
but
Two all-pro defensive players.
they used the stadium to film a scene where Hines Ward was a wide receiver in The Dark Knight Rises. Remember
That's
that movie?
Rohan's favorite movie.
That is not. That
No,
is
just The Dark Knight. Sorry,
Dark Knight.
my
Yeah.
apologies. This movie's giving off real Skyfall vibes.
Yeah, Spectre is more of a Dark Knight Rises equivalent.
It's a spiritual prequel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. God, that movie was terrible. I'm gonna go loss here.
I am also going loss here.
I don't think
Go ahead.
Packers and Pittsburgh had never gone well in my weird imagination that I have.
It's gone well at least once.
That was not in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
Though.
in Pittsburgh. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I'm talking about strictly.
In Pittsburgh.
That was where Jordy Nelson tore his ACL during preseason game.
Is why you got to bring that up.
I'm sorry. They also lost. I remember this crazy game, Rodgers' second year, and the Packers lost like 36-37 or something like that.
I gotta look this up. 2009 would have been
2009. Yes, it was an
I'm-
agonizing loss that I remember watching.
I gotta find this now. The Pittsburgh Steelers. You hit it on the head.
Is it 36?
37-36 they lost.
Boom. Because it's such a that is probably scoregami.
Packers scored
This
22 in the fourth quarter to still lose.
and they still lost. God, oh,
Wow. I'm looking at
I feel like it was down to like a 2 point conversion or something like that.
uh
Was it?
you're pretty close. Uh Packers took the lead 36-30
Oh, here we go. Oh
at
yeah.
with 2 minutes and 6 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
I wonder what happened. They give him a fucking touchdown.
The 24-yard pass from to James Jones. They attempted a 2-point conversion and um it failed. It was a pass from Rodgers to Brandon Jackson and it failed.
Oh my
So
god.
then the Steelers drove the field and Ben Roethlisberger threw a touchdown pass to Mike Wallace with no time left on the clock.
Oh,
And they kicked the extra point to win.
ugh.
Oofda.
Who was the defensive coordinator then?
I think it was still Dom Capers.
Oh yeah, it would have been Dom.
I'm looking. Yep, it is Dom Capers.
I
So
would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that meddling Ben Roethlisberger. Dom Capers looks like a Scooby Doo villain.
all right.
So we're at 5-4.
Yep. Moving on. Week 11
Chargers.
at home
Oh,
at noon.
be a game that
I think we lose. I'm telling you right now, we lose this game.
air raid. Just their Keenan Allen goes crazy. Mike Williams probably
Keenan
has.
Allen, Mike
This is
Williams, and
this is
look at
probably
now.
the week that Mike Williams has that random 3 touchdown outburst.
Austin Eckler will run all over us. Like this is a high flying Chargers offense. Like I think we lose this game.
It's gonna be a shootout though.
Yeah, Chargers defense isn't that good. Yeah, we're about Joey Bosa. Yes, yes, right. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
undercover bosses.
So 5 and
I'm
5
gonna
now,
go.
or no?
I'm gonna go. Also,
Yeah, 5 and 5.
I'm
Well, I guess you haven't said if we're going to lose yet. So
devil's advocate here. West teams going to um, Central Time Zone or East Coast do not play well at noon games. Big factor. Big factor here.
okay.
Just
So
throw it out there.
are you saying win or loss?
Just throw that. I'm saying win.
So 6 and 4.
God, this is not going to hold water as the
It
season
might.
gets closer.
It might. Coming up next, we have, if I can do this properly, Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Packers Lions on Thanksgiving. Got their early game, so you're gonna be just about to munch on your Thanksgiving turkey, some mashed taters, little green bean casserole, big old slice of pumpkin pie on top of some whipped cream. Watching the Packers play in Detroit. Jordan
your
Loves
wishful.
gets a Thanksgiving game.
He's going to get that turducken.
You think so?
No, Lions win.
You
Lions
think
win.
Lions win? All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Um.
I think they
Ooh.
did. I predicted 2-0 that the Lions win both games again.
Yes.
Right? Yes, I
Yes.
think that happens again.
Moving on. Gonna have a losing streak
Shit. Yeah.
because
Move
the
on.
Chiefs
Move
on
on.
Sunday night, so they go from quote unquote prime time, if you want to call Thanksgiving prime time, um, to that Sunday night primetime game against the
Question.
reigning Super Bowl champions. Possible answer.
So we played the West 2 years ago,
Yes.
right?
Yep. No. The Chiefs was a one-off game that year.
Why was that a one-off?
So the way the
Was that
schedule
because of the
works out,
17 game? Because it was the first year with the new schedule?
maybe, but there's always two games. I'm pretty sure that aren't in the conferences you play or the divisions you play. So you play six. You play 6 games against your
Your
division,
own.
and then you play 8 games against the other the other two divisions.
Of where you finished, right?
Nope, you play the whole division. So like the Packers this year are playing all of the NFC South and all of
Oh,
the
clear.
AFC
Yeah.
and all of the AFC West. So then that's 8 games to bring you to 14, and they
So
have
Three
three
more.
three random like just primetime games. The one we have so far is the Rams, and now the Chiefs. There's one more.
Yeah, but they're playing. We got all the AFC West, as you said.
Yep, it's at the
But
Rams. They're NFC West.
I know, but I'm saying because usually it rotates that it's if it's AFC West this year, it'll be AFC
Yeah,
South the
you
next
you
year.
you yeah you rotate every
I thought it was
3 years.
every 4 years, right?
Yes, because you play each division in like a row. Like you play the like since the Packers on
Yeah,
the NFC, they play the AFC divisions once every 4 years.
but
But
we
what I'm
just played the AFC West 2 years ago, right? Or was
no,
that the one off?
that was the one
That was the
off.
one off. Gotcha now. Gotcha
Yes.
now.
Okay.
Okay.
Glad we got
Okay.
that cleared up.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It was
Um.
bugging me.
So then, yeah, lost to the reigning Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs.
Clearly.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Um. Moving right on to our third primetime game in a row. I'm calling Thanksgiving primetime because only 3 teams play. So,
Yeah.
do the New York Football Giants. Monday Night Football in the Meadowlands. Daniel Jones coming off a hot, fresh contract. Saquon Barkley, uh, playing on the franchise tag reluctantly. Just drafted Jalen Hyatt. They get Wandell Robinson back healthy. They have one other receiver whose name I forget, but they have Darren Waller now too. So
Yeah, that's right.
they're gonna be. It's their division to not to lose because the Cowboys and the Eagles still exist, but that the NFC NFC East is gonna be a dogfight, just like it was last
Yeah.
year. I think they
That's a
lose.
yeah, I kind of think so too.
So this will be a rough stretch. That's a 3 game losing
Yeah.
streak we have them on.
This
Just
is
think,
probably the hardest part of their schedule
yes, I agree. The
because I
from week 10 to this week is the hardest part of the schedule, in my opinion.
because I could conceivably see all those teams probably being above 500.
Yeah, I could see like honestly the Packers losing like all 5 of these games,
Yeah.
which like it'll happen. It's just fine. It'll be a tough few weeks for us podcasting wise, but we know this. Like there's going to be a
Yeah.
tough stretches of the season. So yeah, I think they lose. I think that puts us at 5-7. No,
I think I'm at 6-7.
6-7. Yeah, because there's 4 games
Yeah.
left, so that would put us, yeah, 6-7. Okay. Next up, at home
Mm,
against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Baker
Noon
Mayfield,
game.
come on down for the
Come
fourth straight year,
on.
third straight year.
Something like that. Maybe.
This is a win.
Yeah, I think this is a win. Questions at running back for them. They have a lot of unproven names there. A rookie they just drafted, Keyshawn Vaughn, another guy whose name I can't remember at the moment.
Devin White asked for a trade, who because contract purposes as well.
Yep, they still have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So
They do, but
Vita
Baker
Vea is still
Mayfield,
there. Like, it'll be interesting. It'll be
yeah,
interesting. But yeah, I think they win here too. I think they end that's good. Hopefully. Moving on. So this is 7-7 now. Correct.
yep.
Kapow. Mr. Andrew Snyder's own
Mm.
Christmas Eve Carolina Panthers in Carolina.
We're gonna be Caroline and Carolina watching Bryce Young. Um,
Yeah,
I was trying to.
go ahead.
I was uh another. Just throwing it out there. Packers have always struggled playing in Carolina.
That's where they played the Saints week 1 a couple years ago and crap the bed, right?
That was Jacksonville,
Yes, it was. My bad.
but right idea.
The right idea.
I can think of a number of games that the Packers have played at Bank of America Stadium that I come away like, why did they lose this game?
The Cam Newton one, right? They like Cam like punked them that one year.
Cam Newton, that was also the game that Aaron Rodgers came back from his injury or late in the year where they were trying to make it was the Brett Hundley year
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they missed the playoffs and Rodgers like, I'm going to come back early from whatever, shoulder, rib,
Yeah,
something like
whatever
that.
it was.
And yeah, he did not look good.
Sure.
Um, I'm gonna go win.
Yeah, win.
It
Win, win, win.
started this. It started to ease up a little bit. Thank you, MC South.
Um, just for 1 week though, or 2 weeks, because now we got the Minnesota
Son of a
Vikings on New
bitch.
Year's Eve on Sunday Night Football. Bam, 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 bam.
This could ultimately decide if they're a playoff team or not.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't like that. Don't like that one bit.
I think they
That's a
lose.
loss.
I think they lose.
Yeah.
So we're sitting right at I think 8-8 right now. Right?
Yep. Come on down, Chicago Bears.
That's right. That is the last game. TBD. They'll flex that game whenever they figure out what time or if
What
it
time
means
is
anything.
TBD?
Yeah, you'll figure it out.
It's be determined.
Yeah.
Um,
At home.
that'll be nice.
Yep.
It'll be nice if they play above expectations. It'll be a nice day to be like, hey, we proved the doubters wrong.
Hmm.
Jordan Love preps for a playoff run. That'll be fun.
Do you know how freaking cool it'll be to have two meaningful games against the Bears be bookended? Like for the season? Like
That's yeah.
Jordan Love and Justin Fields go into the year having insert amount of expectations here. But depending on how the seasons go, like, can you imagine a better storyline for Sunday Night Football? Like, if Justin Fields and Jordan Love are fighting for a playoff spot weeks 18.
That would be perfect. I mean,
Like,
they have the Packers of Lions on there.
well, I
But
think that's different. Like the
no,
Packers,
I know.
right?
But what I'm saying is that if no other matchup is better than that,
Yeah.
and it's this is the FC North could be changing hands, or it could be
Hmm.
going to the same team that's largely run it for the last 30 years or whatever.
Hilariously, this is very dumb analysis. I'm sorry, but hilariously, there is a legitimate possibility that that the Packers and Bears could play at any three time slot on Sunday, week 18.
Yes,
They both could have like a crap year, just middling
it's
year, and
terrible.
it's noon.
Nooner.
They could have average years when they're fighting for a playoff spot, 325. Like, but if it's the best game of with playoff implications, it could be 720. Like I was just like thinking about that. Like, it's stupid analysis, but it's funny to think like, yeah, the Packers could play literally any time within that 8 hour time frame.
Yeah. Oh man.
So what do you say? Win, loss, tie? Don't do it. I see that stupid smirk on your face. Don't fucking say it. I went so long without going explicit, and I had to root it right there.
Hi.
No, you're not allowed.
I'll go win.
Nine
So I'm
and
gonna
eight.
go. I'm saying 9-8. I think that is a reasonable.
Yeah,
We talked this last week,
yeah,
right?
yep,
Mailbag.
yep.
Yeah.
I think that's a very reasonable year for them because, like I said, like this schedule is easy in the opponents. Like there's variance, obviously. Like you always have a couple teams that are way better than you anticipate, and other teams that are way worse than they anticipate. Like things happen, injuries happen, seasons happen. So we'll see. But yeah, I think 9-8 is a reasonable outcome for however you may be.
Yeah.
And so is 7-11. So is not 7-11,
That's
seven
a
and
gas
10.
station.
7-10. Yep, 7-11 is a gas station. 7-10. So it's 10-7. Like I said, I've been saying all pod. There's going to be variance in these games. I mean, a lot of one score games, I think, besides that stretch between week 10 and week 14. But they have a chance to make their mark.
If we are talking about the Green Bay Packers being a playoff team in 2023, a hot start will be needed because that is
Yeah.
easily the most cupcake schedule or portion of the
Yeah, the
schedule.
first half of the year is very good to them. Essentially,
Yes.
they have two games away to start the year, and then two games at home, and then bye week against the Raiders in Vegas. Or I'm sorry, they have a away game against the Raiders in Vegas, bye week, away game in Denver, but you're home for the bye, so it's basically every other. Then 2 games at home against the Vikings and the Rams, and then from there, it's home away up until the Panthers, where you face the Panthers and Vikings back to back away, and end the year at home. So, yeah, it's gonna be that second half of the year is gonna be tough for them, frankly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, hot start needed. I think they need to be both chalk losses to the Vikings and the Falcons for sure. I think they lose at least 2 of their first 8 games.
5 through their first 8 games.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
like at least 2 between the
Vikings.
Falcons, Saints, Lions, Raiders, Broncos, Vikings, Rams. They probably lose to the Vikings and Lions, maybe for sure. That's just my opinion. I know you said you wanted them. Do you think they win against the Vikings at home? I think they don't, frankly, and we'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they lose at least 2 of their first 8. But
Hmm.
6-2 to start the year, be pretty good. It would
No
make the
pressure.
it would make the 5 game slide that we think will happen a little tough to swallow. But that'll be part of the highs and lows that we already talked about this pod.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely week 10, yeah, week 10 through 14.
Yep.
That will be the gauntlet if they
Um,
can get out unscathed.
circle 3 games in the schedule for me, Jordan.
Ooh. Well, clearly week one. Week
Okay.
one for me. Jordan Love's first start. Gonna be plenty of eyeballs on him. Maybe not the best play game, but just sentimental reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's tough.
Vikings home game.
Okay.
That's interesting. Again, a big what's the word?
Prove it.
Yardstick game.
Okay.
If you are say if they are out to a good start,
Mm-hmm.
it could be a chance to prove it
Yep.
that they are for real.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is the second or third game? I mean, Chiefs clearly would probably be the collector answer. I just think it's going to be an overwhelming
Yeah.
beatdown. I'm intrigued by the Chargers.
Okay. Okay.
That's my little like. I like the Chargers, so
Yeah.
I want them to succeed because that franchise seems seemingly cursed. But
I think everybody but the Chargers wants the Chargers to succeed.
yeah, that would be a good point. Yeah, I think Chargers are kind of. I should probably go a Lions game though. I'm
You don't
basically
have to.
picking. I'm gonna pick all the freaking division
All the
play.
home division games.
Yeah, because it's gonna be
Yeah.
important.
Gotcha. So you're going week 1 against the Bears, week 8 against the Vikings, and which Lions game?
Thanksgiving. Like, let's go Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving.
game.
Okay. My 3, we have one in common. Bears week 1, and then
Yeah.
I'm going Raiders in Vegas because the Devontae
Oh, of
Adams,
course. Yeah.
and then the Chargers. That was my other one. I
Mm,
think that'll be a fun game.
yeah.
So awesome. Anything else you got on the schedule?
I changing my expectations.
Okay. It's a little early. We haven't even gotten to OTAs yet. We haven't got the training camp, so keep that in mind.
The Green Bay Packers
Oh
are
man.
going undefeated in 2020.
And with that, I think it's time for us to wrap up. Get a couple of promotions off. As always, you know the first and foremost podcast platform in our heart is Repod. Go join Repod at joinrepod.com/talk of the tundra. Join our community over there. Talk the Packers schedule. Who do you think, or what do you think is going to be the Packers finishing record in 2023? Go put your answers over there, and we will interact with you. Comment, like, and just chat. So go join Repod. Love Repod. Just great app. So GSPN wise, if I can think about the dismay that is the Buck season, not playing in the playoffs currently. But as always, Jordan and Adam and Ty and Rohan are bringing you the latest and greatest Bucks news with the unfortunate news of Mike Budenholzer's firing and trying to figure out what sort of the next steps are going to be for the Bucks as they look into their coaching search. If I'm not mistaken, Jordan, you guys recorded Win in Six today, right? So it'll be out.
You are not mistaken. We are talking about the Bucks head coaching search, not necessarily about the candidates that are emerging or anything like that. We are talking about John Horst and the biggest decision that ultimately he faces
Mm-hmm.
that uh, to extend this window. I thought it was a really good conversation and kind of healthy one between some skepticism that we have, Adam and I, and just the weird, almost I don't know, just bizarre situation that the Bucks find themselves in and trying to find the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks while they face a lot of existential crisis or questions about the longevity of this team.
Right. Right. And it's definitely going to be an active offseason, without a doubt. So be sure to
Yeah.
go check out the Bucks feed for all the latest and greatest Bucks things from those guys. Cruising for a bruising. Adam and Andrew just finished up talking about the Dodgers series. Unfortunately, the Brewers losing 5 of their last 6 series, played by injuries and just, I guess, regressions to the mean from the bullpen. So go listen to them chat about that and all things Brewers. And same two guys, Adam and Andrew, always talking pop culture and things from, are on Make Time for This. The Rye Lane episode is still there. Go check it out if you haven't. It's good stuff. That really does it for us here on Talk of the Tundra. We will be back with you soon to talk all things Packers, as we usually do. Thank you guys for listening. Go rate 5 stars on your respective podcast apps, whether it be Apple Music, Spotify, or insert whatever app you listen to your podcasts on. We always appreciate it. And like I said, thank you for listening, and thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.